So, Rick wants to become a famous chef, but the cooking school only accepts applicants over 18. Rick's brother Jeff is twice older than Rick. Rick's sister Ruth is twice younger than Jeff. She turned 18 this year. So, Sherlock, can Rick apply for his dream school this year? Yep, he's 18 years old. Rick and Ruth are of the same age because they're twins. Rick has prepared all papers for the cooking school, but he still needs to get some work experience and recommendations to get accepted. He found 3 job ads. Bill has a small diner on the 4th floor of the local shopping mall. He needs help in the kitchen. Holly offers a part-time internship at her fancy sushi restaurant. But first, you need to pay $300 for a 2-week training. Sam needs an assistant in his noodle shop. Now, only one of these offers isn't fake. Can you tell which one? There's no 4th floor in this shopping mall. Holly's picture is hanging on the window of the restaurant, and it says scammer, so Rick should choose Sam. Sam liked Rick's skills and CV, but he wanted to test his intelligence before hiring him. That's why he gave Rick this list of ingredients and asked him to bring them from the pantry of the cafe. Unfortunately, Sam coded this list. Can you help Rick find all the products? Here's the first ingredient. I always try to catch up with my buddy Mustard. What am I? Have you guessed? It's ketchup. Here's the next one. My closest friend is peanut butter. What am I? The second ingredient is jelly. I'm a nut that is only delicious when fried or baked. What am I? Have you guessed? It's a donut. I am a bird, I am a fruit, and I am a person at the same time. What am I? A kiwi. I go along with most veggies and snacks beside me. What am I? I'm a dip. It's nothing personal. I'm a cup that doesn't hold any water. What am I? I'm talking about a cupcake here. A little pool with 2 layers of water around it. One is white and soft, and the other is dark and hard amidst a light brown grassy lawn with an outline of green grass. What's that all about? It's a coconut. It's hard to get a smooth bite, and you can chew me for a long time if I'm too dry. What am I? And the correct answer is jerky. I'm a green veggie that looks like a tiny tree. What am I? Can you guess? I'm broccoli. A time when they're green, a time when they're brown. But both of these times cause me to frown. But just in between, for a very short while, they're perfect and yellow and cause me to smile. What are they? Well, I'm sure you've guessed it's all about grapes. People confuse me with a vegetable, but I'm actually a fruit. I'm red when I'm ripe, and I'm sliced and served on burgers. What am I? A tomato or tomato. I'm the type of room you cannot enter or leave. I raise from the ground below. I can be poisonous or a delicious treat. What am I? Can you guess? All of this is about a mushroom. You throw away my outside and you cook my inside. Then you eat me from the outside and throw away what's inside. What am I? The correct answer is corn. I'm the kind of food that mummies like to eat. What am I? It's a wrap. Oh, really? Time for the final ingredient. I wear a red coat and have a stone inside my throat. Who am I? I'm a cherry. Hey, great job. Rick has brought all the ingredients. Sam hired him right away and asked him to take orders. Rick saw 3 customers in the cafe, but only one of them was a real human. Can you spot who exactly it was? This woman has gills just like a fish. She's a mermaid. And this guy's wearing trousers instead of a shirt, and he's trying to pay with shells. It's pretty clear he's not from this planet. Someone had stolen a tip box from Sam's cafe. The police arrived almost at once. Rick said that he could only see the back of the robber. He knew it was a woman. The next day, another robbery took place, but this time the guard managed to block the exit. The police arrived in a minute. They saw 4 women in the cafe. Can you tell who the thief was? It was Pam. She's the only one whose shoes are good enough for running. The police nearly arrested Pam, but she managed to escape. Rick ran after her and noticed she snuck into a school. Rick followed her. He noticed Pam's hoodie by one of the doors, so he entered the classroom. Rick faced 4 ladies who looked like Pam. Can you help him find the real Pam? There she is. She has neither books nor pens on her desk. 2 months later, Sam gave Rick a good recommendation. Rick applied for cooking school, and now he has to take some exams. Rick's current task is to cook a delicious soup. 3 pretty ladies are taking the same test with him. He liked them equally, but only one of them was trustworthy. Can you tell which one? Jenny has a bottle of poison in her spices collection. Fiona put push pins in her soup. It's very suspicious as well. Kelly didn't do anything wrong. She looks pretty reliable. After the soup test, Rick got a new task. He must tell which cupcake is in the very center of the tray. Can you help him? It's the pink one. Here's the next task. Which macaroon is in the very center? The purple one. Great job! What about this tray? Can you tell which cookie is in the very center? Ah, this one! Rick invited Kelly for dinner. It was their first date. He wanted to impress her and made dinner himself. He left all dishes in the kitchen and went upstairs to take a shower before Kelly's arrival. When Rick returned to the kitchen, he found that someone had eaten all the food. He questioned 3 suspects. Ruth said, "I'm on a diet. I don't eat after 5 p.m." Rick's dad said, "I've spent the entire evening outdoors removing dry leaves from the roof." Rick's brother Jeff said, "Bro, I've been training all day. The marathon is scheduled for tomorrow. Who's lying? Rick's dad. The roof is still covered with leaves, and Rick's dad is a pig. Kelly offered Rick to go for a picnic in the park. They found 3 cozy spots, but only one of them is safe. Can you tell which one? There's a cougar hiding in this tree, not the safest company for the picnic. And there are snakes in the grass, so the guy should choose the second option. Rick and Kelly had a conversation about the future. Rick confessed that he wanted to open his own restaurant. Kelly wanted the same. Suddenly, a creepy witch appeared in front of them. She said, "Young people, I'll give you money for your restaurant if you manage to solve my riddle." The two agreed. She asked, "What hatches without food?" In a minute, the witch gave them a suitcase full of fresh, crispy dollars. What did they say? The correct answer is hunger. Rick and Kelly ran home, but they got lost in the park. They walked in circles for several hours and got very tired. Finally, they found the gates. But the park's guard had already locked them because it was very late. The gates had a combination lock with 9 multicolored buttons. Can you help the two guess this code? Pay attention to the color of the lanterns in the park. This is a hint. To open the gates, the friends need to click on the red, yellow, and purple buttons. Now, Rick and Kelly are business partners. They need to find a space for the restaurant. So they hired an agent who offered them these 3 options. Can you help them make the best choice? The second space is located next to a factory that poisons the air. Probably not the best place to start a restaurant. Have you noticed this sign? A construction company will demolish the 3rd building in 2 weeks. This deal is a scam. So, they should choose the first place. It's located on a crowded street and looks pretty reliable. Rick and Kelly invited friends and journalists to celebrate the opening of their restaurant. They served delicious meals and drinks. Suddenly, one of the guests, Peter, fainted. A lady from the crowd yelled, "Move on, I'm a doctor." She examined Peter and concluded that he had been poisoned. Peter ate the same food as everyone else. Later, food tests found no toxins. Rick questioned 3 suspects. Tyler, the cook, said, "I checked all the food myself, and it was fine, bro." Zach said, "I've been running a restaurant across the street for decades, and we've never faced such a shame." Samantha, the waiter, said, "I didn't touch the food, I just served it, sir." Can you guess what happened here? Zach paid Peter and the fake doctor to ruin Rick and Kelly's reputation. He handed them cash earlier that evening. Despite the dramatic opening, the business was doing fine. Kelly and Rick were very happy. One day, a furious lady entered the restaurant holding her little daughter in her arms. She pointed at 3 customers and yelled, "It's her father!" The first customer said, "I've been in the army in another country for the last 2 years, lady. I just returned." The second one said, "I don't know you, miss. You won't get my money. Find another fool." And the third customer said, "I can't be your father. I'm a woman." Can you tell me who the real father is? It's the second guy. Take a closer look at his face. The daughter and the guy have the same eye color. What a dramatic restaurant! Fake poisonings and paternities. Hey, time to book a table.
Eddie and Lucy decided to go camping in the forest for the weekend. However, they didn't know that it was protected by an angry spirit who didn't like intruders. He appeared in front of them and said,
"You have set foot into my forest uninvited. You will not be able to leave. Forget your home. With it, you will never be reunited."
"We apologize. We didn't know the forest belonged to you. Please let us out. We won't ever come back," Lucy cried. The spirit replied,
"I'll show you mercy, for you are sincere. Mysteries of my forest await you. Solve them all, and you will be able to leave."
Then he magically teleported them to the deepest, darkest part of the forest and vanished out of sight. As Eddie and Lucy walked around trying to find their way out of the forest, they came upon a river. They had to cross it to continue their journey. There were 3 different bridges in front of them. Which one should they choose to move to the other side? Do you see the weird river monster hiding under the stone bridge? It looks dangerous. And the wooden bridge looks so old, it can crash at any minute. So, they should choose this one. After Eddie and Lucy crossed the bridge, they saw 3 different paths in front of them. The first road led to a cave where giant hungry trolls were living. The second road led to the house of evil witches who needed human blood for a spell they were casting that would allow them to stay young forever. And the third road led to a swamp where an 8-headed snake was waiting for its prey. Which path should they follow? They should choose the third road because if you look carefully, you can see that up ahead, the road is forked too. It means that there's a 4th path they can take if they continue walking on this one, and they won't end up in the swamp after all. When they arrived at the end of the 4th path, they saw a wizard's hut. They thought he might be able to help them, but the gate was locked. When they tried to force it open, a magical quill came flying towards them from one of the windows of the hut and started writing a riddle in the air.
"The only being who can let you in is my familiar Arthur the Owl. He must be sleeping on a tree at this hour. To convince him, you must bring him his favorite flower. Yet, if you cannot spot him in the next few seconds, I can't help you, and forever in this forest you'll have to wander."
Can you spot where the owl is? Look there! Eddie and Lucy managed to spot not 1, but 3 owls standing on a tree branch. Only one of them was Arthur. If they don't figure out which one of them is Arthur, they won't be able to get help from the wizard. The first owl said, "The third owl is not Arthur." The second owl said,
"I am not Arthur."
And the third owl said, "I am Arthur." However, only one of them was telling the truth, and the others were lying. Can you figure out which one is Arthur? If the first owl was Arthur, then both he and the second owl would be telling the truth. If the third owl was Arthur, then he and the first owl would be telling the truth. But only one of them is telling the truth, remember? So the second owl must be Arthur. Once Eddie and Lucy figured out which one was Arthur, the remaining owls flew away. Then Lucy asked him what his favorite flower was. Arthur answered with a riddle.
"I can grow very tall. I am of the color yellow. When I am young, I follow the closest star in the sky. Can you tell what flower I am?"
Arthur's favorite flower is the sunflower. Eddie and Lucy had to bring a sunflower to Arthur for him to let them in. They asked him where they could find one, and Arthur told them that they could get it from the sunflower field that was located between the cornfield and the wheat field. When they asked which direction they should go, Arthur said this.
"If you went east, took a right turn, covered some distance in that direction, then took a left turn, and finally took another left turn, which direction would you be facing? That's the direction you must go."
Can you tell what direction that is? It's north. After Eddie and Lucy had walked for some time, an angry leprechaun jumped onto them out of nowhere and knocked them out with fairy dust. They opened their eyes in a prison cell. The leprechaun said,
"You stole my pot of gold and you're going to stay in this prison until you tell me where you hid it."
Eddie said, "We don't know anything about your gold," but the leprechaun didn't believe him. Suddenly, Lucy saw something strange that could help them. There was another prison cell in front of them with 3 different prisoners. Lucy noticed that one of them was going to try to escape. She suggested making a deal with the leprechaun. She said, "I will tell you which prisoner is planning to escape if you let us go. He's probably the one who stole your gold, and I promise we'll help you find it once you free us." The leprechaun agreed to the terms. Take a look at these 3 prisoners. Can you tell who's trying to escape? It's the 3rd prisoner. He has a map sticking out of his pocket. He must be up to something. The leprechaun took the map from that prisoner and let Lucy and Eddie go. He said,
"But now you have to help me find my pot of gold."
Lucy noticed a couple of notes at the back of the escape map. The first one said, "Find the pot of gold in the fields of gold." What do you think that means? Remember what Arthur said? He informed Lucy and Eddie about 3 different fields: sunflower, corn, and wheat. These 3 things are all yellow or golden. It could only mean that the leprechaun's pot of gold is in one of these fields. The road from the leprechaun's prison to the fields was foggy. They lost their way and arrived at part of the forest that even the leprechaun didn't even know about. Eddie immediately noticed 3 unusual things. Can you spot them? Even though it's still daytime, the place is dark. The mushrooms on the ground are actually tiny houses. And finally, one of the butterflies flying there in the distance is no butterfly at all. It's a fairy. As soon as Eddie spotted the fairy, it flew next to them and said,
"The fairy mother wanted me to bring everyone food, but when I asked what she wanted, she only said this: remove the outside, cook the inside, eat the outside, and throw away the inside. What I want is what this is. But I don't know what that means. Can you help me, please? Do you know the answer?"
"It's a corn on the cob." The fairy thanked them for helping her. Lucy then told her that they were actually on their way to the sunflower, corn, and wheat fields, but they had lost their way. The fairy told them she was going there to get the corn on the cob or 2. They all followed her and arrived at the fields. After the fairy got her corn, she asked them what they were looking for. The leprechaun said,
"We're looking for my pot of gold."
The fairy told them that there was a maze in all 3 fields. At the center of each maze, there was a pot of gold, but only one pot had real gold in it, and the others were fake. The real one was in the maze that had the shortest way from start to center. Can you tell which one that is? It's the sunflower maze. The leprechaun, happy to get his gold back, bid farewell to Eddie and Lucy. They picked a sunflower for Arthur and headed back to the wizard's hut. On their way there, they heard a scream. They ran toward it and saw 3 princesses. They all said they needed help because 2 monsters were following them. Only one of them was a real princess who was telling the truth. The other 2 were actually monsters. Can you tell who? The real princess is the second one. If you look closer, you can see that the first princess has a monster's tail, and the third princess has tiny ogre ears. So she would be one of the monsters chasing the real princess too. After helping the princess, Eddie and Lucy arrived at the hut and gave Arthur the sunflower. In return, he let them in. The wizard greeted them and asked what he could do for them. They said they wanted to get back home. The wizard said he knew a spell to open a portal, but the special ingredient he needed was coated. The wizard showed them the page in the spell book. Can you tell what the special ingredient is? It's one piece of feather from a crow. The wizard prepared the spell, but something went wrong with it, and instead of 1, 3 magical portals appeared. Behind the first one, they could see a knight holding an axe. Behind the second one, they could see a robot shooting lasers from its eyes. Behind the third one, they could see a vampire with a dagger in his hands. Only the safest one would transport them home. Which one is it? It's the door with the vampire, of course. The dagger is silver, and vampires can't touch that. That must only mean he is not a real vampire, maybe some guy in a costume. Who knows?
So Bill had stomach cramps and went to the hospital where he was prescribed some pills. The next morning, he was found unconscious. Police found someone had switched the pills and questioned 3 suspects. Dr. Johnson, his cardiologist, saw him at 3 in the afternoon and wrote the prescription. John, the hospital cleaner, came to clean the room at 7 a.m., found him and called the police. Susan, his nurse, brought the pills to him at 8 that morning. Who's lying? Susan, the cleaner, called the police 1 hour before she claimed to have brought him the pills. Mia got a new cat and brought it into her apartment where she lived with 3 other people. But all her roommates disliked her new pet. 3 months later, she went on a 2-day business trip, but when she came back, the cat was gone. She questioned all her roommates. Steve didn't notice the cat was missing. David said he was allergic to cats and couldn't survive a day with one around him. Sean was the one taking care of the cat, and he was shocked he couldn't find it that morning. Who's lying? David. If he was allergic to cats, he wouldn't have lasted with Mia's cat in the same house for several months before. You went to visit an abandoned castle when you got trapped in the basement. There's a small bamboo stick on the table, almost as long as your forearm. In front of you, there are 3 doors, and you must spend 1 hour behind one of them to get out of the castle. Which is the safest option? Behind the first door, there's 100 rabid wild rats. Behind the second, there's a box filled with water, and you must keep your head submerged in it. In the third door, there's an infinitely deep pool filled with box jellyfish. The second door. You can use the bamboo stick to breathe. Brian was traveling by train to a nearby city. He placed his watch on the table and was looking for his train ticket when the train went into a dark tunnel. When it came out, Brian's watch was gone. There were only 3 people in the car. Mary was sleeping the entire time. Christopher was looking for his wallet to grab a cup of coffee. Mike was playing a game on his phone. Who took the watch? It was Mary. When the journey started, she had her sleeves rolled up, and if she were sleeping, she wouldn't put them down. Sarah was walking out of the mall when someone snatched the purse out of her hand and drove off in a red car. The security closed the parking lot and found 3 people with red cars. Alyssa said she was inside shopping when she got called by security. David said he had only just arrived. Bob said he was about to pay his parking fee and drive off. Who isn't telling the truth? David. He's got a parking ticket on his window. From the sign on the wall, he's been there for more than 2 hours without paying and got a ticket. And he lies about being very allergic to cats. Simon broke into the richest house in the neighborhood and took a very expensive diamond. Security guards caught him walking out and searched him for the diamond. They knew he'd taken it, so when they couldn't find anything, they x-rayed him. Still, nothing showed up. Where was Simon carrying the diamond? As soon as the guards caught him, he put it in one of their pockets. After the search was over and they were driving him home, he took it out of their pocket with nobody noticing. A crazy scientist took you into their basement and is planning to keep you there for a year. He's given you the option to choose one of 3 foods to eat for the year to stay alive. Which one do you choose to save your life? Pasta and bread, rice and beans, steak and broccoli. If you only ate pasta and bread, you'd get scurvy in just 8 months. And steak with broccoli is low in carbs, which will start breaking down your muscle mass to help you stay alive. Your best bet is rice and beans. It's high in all 9 essential amino acids your body needs, and you can germinate some of the raw beans, eating their sprouts to get your vitamin C. Aren't you a smart cookie? A year passes and you've managed to get out of the basement. But to make it out of the house, you must pick one of the 3 doors the scientists created. The first room is filled with venomous cone snails. The second has 5 very hungry polar bears. The third is a saltwater tank with hundreds of piranhas. Which is the safest? The third room. Piranhas are freshwater fish and can't survive in salt water. 3 prisoners are sitting at the table having dinner, but one of them is wealthy. Can you guess who it is? It's not the guy with the steak and the shrimps. The little tag on his shirt reveals he's a chef, and he likes to prepare a special treat for himself. The guy with the jewels shows that he's rich, but in prison, jewelry is basically worthless. It's the third guy. Rich people try to keep low profile in prison not to be targeted by others. That's why he doesn't flash any valuable possessions or his status. A group of researchers is trying to test your knowledge. They take you into their lab on an island in Italy and present 3 dishes to you, but only one is safe to eat. Which do you choose? Cheese infested by maggots, boiled pufferfish liver, or fly agaric mushrooms? Pufferfish liver can be poisonous if it isn't prepared properly, and the fly agaric mushrooms are among the most dangerous in the world. Maggot cheese, on the other hand, is actually a delicacy in Sardinia, Italy, so it's perfectly safe to eat. Really? One day, you wake up in an arena without knowing how you got there. From the speakers, you hear that you must fight one of 3 hybrid animals. Which one do you pick to stay alive? A polar bear with the head of a rattlesnake, a hippo with a lion head, or a hybrid with the face and body of a great white shark and the limbs of a jaguar? The great white shark hybrid. Since its body has gills, it won't be able to breathe outside water. You're an astronaut and you've made it to Mars for an expedition. A team member greets you at the entrance to the base in their workout clothes. When you get in, you close the door and wait for the room to pressurize before taking off your spacesuit. When you walk in, you get a message that someone at the base is an imposter. Who could it be? A fellow astronaut who covers his face because he got a sunburn, an engineer with flaky patches on her skin, or the person who greeted you at the door earlier. The person you saw earlier. If they were human, they wouldn't survive outside the base in the planet's atmosphere. While walking in the forest, you come across a mysterious local that blocks your way. He tells you if you solve his riddle, you're free to go. But if you don't, you'll have to stay in this forest forever. The riddle goes like this. You're seas without water, coasts without land, towns without people, and mountains without land. What are you? Well, you're a map. You decided to go exploring a local cave. You walk inside, and a landslide suddenly blocks the way back. Ahead, there are 4 tunnels, each with a sign showing you which dangers lurk inside. Which one do you choose to stay safe? The tunnel filled with molten lava, the one filled with poisonous gas, the one swarmed by bats, or the tunnel with venomous spiders? You picked the last one. Spiders don't hunt humans for food and usually avoid them altogether. You just moved into a new town with only 2 barbers. You visit both their shops to decide which one you should pick. The first shop is a bit messy, and the barber needs both a haircut and his beard trimmed. The second shop is shiny, tidy, and the barber is well shaved with a perfect haircut. But you decide to go to the first shop. Why? Each barber cuts the other barber's hair, and you pick the one who gave the other a nice haircut. You've got a job as a helper to someone's mansion, but the mansion owner gives a tricky task. I need the least number of chairs for a table to seat 4 fathers and 2 grandfathers with 4 sons. You can't ask any questions, but what's the least number of chairs you must put out? Four. The fathers could also be grandfathers, and they're all sons. Mary was selling a rope for $3. The buyer gave her $10, but because she had no change, she went to the grocery store next door to get some. She then returned with $7, but then the clerk from the store came outside to tell her that she gave her a counterfeit bill. Mary called a detective, and she must tell him how much she had lost. What should her answer be? $7 and the rope. Oh, and it turns out the counterfeiter buyer was a guy named David. What a troublemaker.
Betty is a famous artist and blogger with more than 1 million subscribers. She has recently hired an agent to sell her works. The agent created an online shop with Betty's exclusive paintings. One day, Betty woke up and saw that most of her followers recently unsubscribed. Can you guess what happened? Take a look at the items in Betty's shop. Van Gogh painted the Starry Night, not Betty. The agent tried to sell fake art through her shop. The next day, Betty visited her favorite cafe. She made an order and went to the ladies' room to wash her hands. She found this beautiful ancient necklace. 3 people approached her to claim the jewelry. Helen said, "This piece belonged to my grandmother. Emeralds fit our green eyes perfectly. Give it back." Fiona said, "My necklace used to have a weak lock. It must have been broken when I was combing my hair." Julia said, "Hey, it's mine. I lost this necklace in the ladies' room." Who should Betty give the necklace to? Helen mentioned emeralds, but the stones are red, not green. Julia was so sure that she'd lost the necklace in the toilet, so why wouldn't she go pick it up herself? Fiona was the only one who knew about the weak chain lock, so she's the real owner. Betty returned to her table. She noticed that someone had taken a bite out of her bagel. Betty was shocked and questioned other customers. Derek said, "Lady, I'm a billionaire. I don't need to steal other people's food." Zach said, "I'm allergic to gluten. I don't eat any pastries." Sheila said, "I saw a weird hungry guy running around the cafe and asking for money. He must have bitten your bagel." Who's lying? Zach, if he doesn't eat any pastries, why did he order pancakes? Fiona wanted to thank Betty for the necklace, so she bought her lunch. The women sat down together and began to talk. Betty asked Fiona about her job. Instead of answering, Fiona showed her family tree. Can you help Betty figure this out? Fiona is a witch, her brother is a policeman, their dad is a doctor, and their mother is a football player. Betty got very excited. She begged Fiona to teach her magic crafts. But Fiona hesitated. She wanted to test her potential student and offered Betty to solve this equation first. Can you help her nail this task? Many people fail to solve this equation because they don't pay attention to details. In this puzzle, every emoji, including the witch, wand, and the broom, symbolize different values. Before calculating the equation, let's find out the value of single things. First, calculate the value of one witch. It's 15. Now let's figure out the value of 1 wand. As you can see, it equals 7. And now let's do the same thing to the brooms. This task is tricky because there are 4 brooms in this equation. So, if 4 brooms are worth 12, then 1 broom will cost 3. Now let's take a look at the final line. The witch doesn't carry around any broom or wand. Therefore, the value of an empty-handed witch is 5. And now, we're ready to solve the equation. And the correct answer is 73. Great job! Betty gave the right answer, and Fiona took her home. There's a beautiful garden maze on Fiona's land. She teleported Betty to the center of the maze and gave her this map. Betty must find a black cat. Otherwise, she's gonna stay in this trap forever. Can you help Betty out? Here's the way. Betty wanted to run back to the castle as soon as possible. Suddenly, a creepy zombie started chasing her. It looked hungry. Betty was running away and noticed 3 paths. The first path was covered by poisonous acid, the second path by bugs and maggots, and the third path by thorn bushes. Which way should Betty choose? Betty should choose the second path. Bugs and maggots are gross, but they're harmless. Fiona asked Betty to serve dinner for a witch party in her castle. Can you count how many witches have arrived at this event? There are 13 witches in this picture. This one is not a witch, it's a garden scarecrow. Betty needed to go to the store to buy some ingredients for dinner. She began to write them down. Milk, lemon juice, eggs, butter, oranges, baking soda, cashews, and vinegar. What was Betty making? Have you guessed? Betty was making a shopping list. Betty served the witches the first meal. Can you guess what exactly? The correct answer is onion rings. Here's a second serving. Can you guess it? It's blueberry. What about this dish? What do you say? It's popcorn. Here's the next one. Did you get it right? It's a strawberry milkshake. Fiona asked Betty to bring dried flowers to cook a love potion. Fiona stores all ingredients in her warehouse, but as soon as Betty entered the warehouse, the door locked behind her back. Betty searched this area and found some old furniture and an antique mirror. Suddenly, she noticed 3 doors, but there was a dangerous monster behind each door. The first monster can turn any living being into stone. The second one is very angry and strong. And the third monster has venomous teeth. Can you help Betty choose the right door? Betty should open the first door and show the mirror to the monster so that it would turn into stone. Then she can escape through the first door. Betty took her phone and ran into the forest. It was pretty dark and scary. Betty stepped on a wasp's nest. Wasps were everywhere. What should Betty do? Wave her arms to scare the wasps? Run away as fast as she can? Or walk away slowly? What do you think? The safest choice is to walk slowly. Waving hands and running is too dangerous. The wasps will get angry and sting her. Betty has returned to the party, but when she saw the crowd of witches by the fire, she got scared and ran away. Why? This lady by the fire is a ghost. See, she doesn't have any feet and levitates. Betty decided to hide in the castle. She wanted to call the police, but she couldn't find her phone. Betty questioned 3 witches. Georgina said,
How dare you? I use telepathy. Phones and gadgets are for losers.
Lillian said,
I was outdoors singing with other witches. I didn't see or hear anything weird.
and Nina said,
I don't need to steal honey. I can manifest any amount of money anytime.
Who's lying? Georgina, take a look at her ears. She's wearing earphones, but she said she didn't use any gadgets. Fiona got very angry when she found out that Betty had interrogated her dearest friends. Betty apologized. Fiona said, Okay, I'll let you stay, but you must answer 3 questions. Here's the first one. I've been here for 1,000,000 years, but I'm never more than a month old. What am I? Have you guessed it? The correct answer is the moon. Here's Fiona's second question. I build castles and I tear down mountains. I make some people blind, but I help others see. What am I? The correct answer is sand. And the third question is, I can be long or I can be short. I can be bought or I can be grown. I can be painted or I can be bare. I can be round or I can be square. What am I? And the answer is fingernails. The party was still on. Fiona went upstairs to change her dress. In 5 minutes, Betty heard a scream from Fiona's bedroom and found her unconscious on the floor. Betty asked one question to 4 suspects. What have you been doing for the last 5 minutes? Jenny was roasting marshmallows by the fire. Gemma said, I've spent the last 30 minutes in the pool. Sarah said, My frog Fluffy ran away to the garden. I've been looking everywhere, but unfortunately I couldn't find it. And Nancy was flying on her broom around the house and filming the party on her phone. Who's lying? Sarah. Her frog is sitting in her pocket. Suddenly, someone turned the lights off. Betty woke up in jail. She found this clue on the floor. It said, Explain this code and you'll be free. Can you help Betty? Here's the answer. Betty was running through Fiona's basement and noticed 2 more prisoners. She figured out that one of them was planning to escape. Can you guess who? The first prisoner. There's a hole behind the toilet that he started digging. Betty got out of Fiona's castle and ran away through the forest. Can you tell what's wrong with the forest? Look at the trees. They all cast shadows, but the big oak tree's shadow is in the wrong direction.